So Imam W. Deen Mohammed had the obligation, following in the leadership of his father, after his father, to address the immediate needs of the Nation of Islam following. So the first years of his leadership were addressing the immediate needs of that following. Now, mind you, Imam W. Deen Mohammed was a minister for his father. And if you know something about the history of our community and the history of the Nation of Islam, then you know that there were occasions where Minister Wallace D. Muhammad represented his father at national gatherings. And so this confidence that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had in his son built over a long period of time, many decades prior to Imam Muhammad becoming the leader of the Nation of Islam in 1975, February 1975. Now let's be very clear about this. He was leader of the Nation of Islam. And that's not to say that when he passed away in 2008 that he was leader of the Nation of Islam. He was not. Minister Louis Farrakhan was leader of the Nation of Islam. But when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away, February 1975, his son, Wallace D. Muhammad, became leader of the Lost Found Temple or Nation of Islam. The immediate obligation that he had upon him was to address the needs of those people that had been followers of his father, and to address them in bringing them to a direct path to the teaching of the Holy Quran and the identification with the following of the international community of Muhammad the Prophet. This was his immediate obligation. And so he had to help them understand Mr. Farah's teaching and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching in that context. And so the 70's, and the things that the Imam was dealing with in the 70's were in that particular, addressing that particular need. Then the 80's, a lot of that need had been addressed. And so now comes the attention on Quran language. Introduction to Quran language and the beginning of the process of establishing our life in the way that the Quran presents the Islamic life. So this is the 80's. Attention on Quran teaching, Muhammad the Prophet's teaching, acquaintance with Islamic teaching coming from directly from the Holy Quran and directly from Muhammad the Prophet. Then the 90's. The 90's was the time for interaction with the international and national communities of faith, where he reached out in an unprecedented way to all of the various communities of faith so as to introduce us in our new expression, in our new life as Muslims in America, so that we could be trusted, a trusted entity, a trusted community, alongside the other well-established religious communities, faith communities of America. So the 90's was filled with this kind of activity. And then the 2000's was a culmination of all of that. His language crystallized, and now he's addressing the condition of man on the earth. He has earned the credibility to stand before the world now and address man's condition as the one who has taken into his concern the universal life and destiny of mankind on this earth. And I would like to describe this with Islamic language. But I hesitate to use Islamic language because many who may get this, they will not understand the reference. So I will just suffice it to say that if you have some knowledge of the teaching of Muhammad the Prophet, of the one that would come who would take into his concern the universal needs of man and address those concerns with the guidance, this was Imam W. Deen Mohammed.